3. Ernesto Consolo. Making the piano a musical instrument. In a long conversation with Ernesto Consolo, the eminent pianist and instructor, many points of vital importance to the player and teacher were touched upon. Among other things, Mr. Consolo said, "It is absolutely necessary that the piano teacher should take his profession very seriously. In my opinion, there is most excellent instruction to be secured right here in America, with such teachers as are willing to take their work seriously. The time is not far away, I think, when America will enjoy a very prominent position in the matter of musical instruction, and perhaps lead the world in musical advantages. The time is not here just yet, but it is surely coming. You are still young in this country, though you are wonderfully progressive. If I have spoken of the serious aims of many teachers of piano, I cannot say as much for the students. They are often superficial and want to go too quickly. They are apt to be in a hurry and want to make a show, without being willing to spend the necessary years on preparation. No art can be hurried. Students of painting, sculpture, architecture, or music must all learn the technique of their art. They must all learn to go deep into the mysteries and master technique as the means to the end. And no one requires exhaustive preparation more than the executive musician. The person who would fence, box, or play baseball must know the technique of these things. How much more must the pianist be master of the technique of his instrument if he would bring out the best results? At the very bottom and heart of this subject of mastery lies concentration. Without that, little of value can be accomplished. Students think if they sit at the piano and practice a certain number of hours daily, it is sufficient. A small portion of that time, if used with intense concentration, will accomplish more. One player will take hours to learn a page or a passage which another will master in a fraction of the time. What is the difference? It may be said one has greater intelligence than the other. The greater the intelligence, the stronger the power of concentration. If a pupil comes to me whose powers of concentration have not been awakened or developed, I sometimes give him music to read over very slowly, so slowly that every note, phrase, and finger mark can be distinctly seen. Not being used to thinking intently, mistakes occur in one hand or the other, showing that the mind was not sufficiently concentrated. It is the mind every time that wins. Without using our mental powers to their fullest extent, we fail of the best that is in us. In regard to technical equipment and routine, I do different work with each pupil, for each pupil is different. No two people have the same hands, physique, or mentality, so why should they all be poured into the same mold? One student, for example, has splendid wrists and not very good fingers. Why should I give him the same amount of wrist practice that I give his brother who has feeble wrists? It would only be a waste of time. Again, a pupil with limited ideas of tonal quality and dynamics is advised to study tone at the piano in some simple melody of Schubert or Chopin, trying to realize a beautiful tone, playing it in various ways until such a quality is secured. The piano is a responsive instrument and gives back what you put into it. If you attack it with a hard touch, it will respond with a harsh tone. It rests with you whether the piano shall be a musical instrument or not. A student who comes to me with a very poor touch must of course go back to first principles and work up. Such an one must learn correct movements and conditions of hands, arms, and fingers, and these can be acquired at a table. Along with these, however, I would always give some simple music to play, so that the tonal and musical sense shall not be neglected. Of course, I advise comprehensive scale practice, scales in all keys and in various rhythms and touches. There is an almost endless variety of ways to play scales. Those in double thirds and sixths I use later, after the others are under control. Arpeggios are also included in this scale practice. I have said that concentration is the keynote of piano mastery. Another principle which goes hand in hand with it is relaxation. Unless this condition is present in arms, wrist, and shoulders, the tone will be hard and the whole performance constrained and unmusical. There is no need of having tired muscles or those that feel strained or painful. If this condition arises, it is proof that there is stiffness, that relaxation has not taken place. I can sit at the piano and play forte for 3 hours at a time and not feel the least fatigue in hands and arms. Furthermore, the playing of one who is relaxed, who knows how to use his anatomy, will not injure the piano. We must remember the piano is a thing of joints. The action is so delicately adjusted that it moves with absolute freedom and ease. The player but adds another joint, which should equal in ease and adjustment the ones already there. On the other hand, a person with stiff joints and rigid muscles, thumping ragtime on a good piano, can ruin it in a week, whereas under the fingers of a player who understands the laws of relaxation, it would last for many years. This principle of relaxation is exemplified in the athlete, baseball player, and others. They have poise and easy adjustment in every part of the body. They never seem to fall into strained or stiff attitudes, nor make angular or stiff movements. Arms, shoulders, wrists, and fingers are all relaxed and easy. The pianist needs to study these principles as well as the athlete. I believe in physical exercises to a certain extent. Lightweight dumbbells can be used. It is surprising how light a weight is sufficient to accomplish the result. But it must be one movement at a time, exercising one muscle at a time, and not various muscles at once. For memorizing piano music, I can say I have no method whatever. When I know the piece technically or mechanically, I know it by heart. I really do not know when the memorizing takes place. The music is before me on the piano. I forget to turn the pages, and thus find I know the piece. In playing with orchestra, I know the parts of all instruments. Unless it be just a simple chord accompaniment, it would not interest me to play with orchestra and not know the music in this way. On one occasion, I was engaged to play the Gambatti Concerto, which I had not played for some time. I tried it over on the piano and found I could not remember it. My first idea was to get out the score and go over it. The second was to try and recall the piece from memory. I tried the latter method, with the result that in about 3 hours and a half I had the whole concerto back in mind. I played the work 10 days later without having once consulted the score. This goes to prove that memory must be absolute and not merely mechanical. Students think they cannot memorize, when it would be quite easy if they would apply themselves in the right way. I ask them to look intently at a small portion, 2 measures, or even 1, and afterward to play it without looking at the notes. Of course, as you say, this can be done away from the piano. The notes can even be recited, but there are other signs and marks to be considered and remembered, so when one can be at the piano, I consider it better. Piano playing is such an individual and complex thing. I do not require nor expect my pupils to play as I do, nor interpret as I interpret, for then I would only see just so many replicas of myself, and their individuality would be lost. I often hear them play a composition in a different way and with a different spirit from the one I find in it. But I don't say to them, that is wrong, you must play it as I do. No, I let them play it as they see and feel it, so long as there is no sin against artistic taste. I trust these viewpoints will be helpful to both player and teacher. The latter needs all the encouragement we artists can give, for in most cases he is doing a good work. Volumes might be added to these hurried remarks, but for that my time is too limited.